that it never came from my phone. She's in the car. Oh no! Hey internet, it's Jessica and welcome back to The Letter. So we are in Rebecca's chapter currently, and this takes place after the open house that Isabella's in, and she's kind of feeling faint about the letter and stuff like that. So I don't think they have shown the letter to Rebecca just yet, so there's gonna be no demons, at least for now. Anyway, let's continue. Even on a rush, getting everything in order before leaving takes nearly a good quarter hour. By the time I make it out of the classroom, the commotion has already died down, dwindling to a mere echoes and distant laughters. From the nearby room, melodies from rehearsal bands drift freely into the air, filling the almost empty hallway with the warm, lively tunes. Any other day, I'll stop, bask in the music, and enjoy what little peace it brings. Not today, however. My steps are brisk, and sure as I march into Edward Hall's exit, the sooner I confirm Isabella's okay, the sooner I can shake off this nagging feeling. For one reason or another, that single call of all possible things has thrown everything off kilter. I'd rather this be over as quickly as possible. Rebecca's like me. I worry a lot, so if I heard my friend is in trouble or something, I would freak out until I know that they're okay. So I understand what she's going through. So much that I nearly barrel over a student in my haste. Though perhaps it's really the other way around. Oh, it's Kylie! Okay, when I look down, a set of eyes, bright and hopeful, stare back at me. I forgot to mention this when Zach ran into her. She's actually the goddaughter of Hannah and Luke. If you remember Hannah mentioning her goddaughter named Kylie, I'm pretty sure it's this girl. Her arms are wrapped around my waist like a vice, and at my attention, a grin spreads over her face. Why doesn't she have a voice here? Sorry, Miss Pink! She loosens her hold on me, but not a hint of glint or regret appears on her face. If anything, it seems the remark only amused her. A smile appears on her face before I can help it, matching one of her own.
Just remember not to do it again, alright? You could get hurt.
You sound
That
like
was
my
weird.
mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
I think it was just an error. All of a sudden the voice clip was gone, okay?
I'm sure your mama only means well. I know she'll be worried sick if one of you were to get hurt. Where's your brother anyway? Aren't you two supposed to be heading home now?
Rowan said he's got some stuff he needs to do before we go. I think he's taking too long. But he promised to buy me jelly babies
Of
today.
course.
If I keep what he's doing a secret from Mama and Papa.
Any chance you'll tell Miss Pink about it?
She shakes her head, both her hands going into her mouth as if to keep a precious secret from spilling out.
I made a promise. She said it's for Tio Luke.
Oh, something like a gift?
Like a deal. Tio promised to take him somewhere cool when he's old enough. Rowan's gonna prove he's a grown-up.
Laughter slips free from my lips. The teacher in me wants to give whoever this Tio is a reprimand for bringing about this kind of behavior in children. And I'm assuming that's Luke. Because Tio means uncle. I think that's in Spanish, right? Because in Tagalog, in Filipino language, Tito means uncle, so it's similar because they're both similar languages. There's a lot of Spanish in it, so pretty sure that means uncle. But if both Sora's kids, I don't know, are so fond of him, there shouldn't be anything to worry about. Yes, but at any rate, they're nothing but well-behaved, both Kylie and her brother. Rowan, the eldest, may have an occasional odd streak in and out of class, but their parents taught them well. I see no reason to cast any suspicion of bad behavior on them.
As long as it isn't anything dangerous, alright?
It's not. Cross my heart. My drawings are a lot prettier than what he's doing anyway. Tio said so. Do you want to see? I drew one earlier at class.
Is that why you're here?
Not really. I was gonna show it to my friend first. But since it's you, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you see it before she does.
Oh no. I can't stay right
Yeah,
now,
sorry
Kylie.
kid, we gotta go. Make sure our friend is not dead. Her face falls immediately after the words are out. A small part of me feels responsible for that crescent fall look, but as much as I want to stay a little longer, there's another place I need to be right now. And frankly, another child to look after. Taking both of her hands, I kneel in front of her and muster the most rueful smile I can give. At her age, I'm quite sure she already understands what I'm about to say before they're even out. But remarkably, she doesn't look away or pout as I'm expecting her to.
I'm sorry. You know what? Rowan has a class with me on Monday around this time. Why don't you drop by again next week? After class? I'll even make sure to wait for you. It's just that I absolutely must leave now. My friend had an accident earlier, and I'm the only one she has here.
What about her mama and papa?
Her family lives really far from here, I'm afraid. Do you remember where Asia is? The southeast part? That's where they are.
Her eyes immediately light up at my question. Just like that, I know I've earned this girl's forgiveness.
Oh, just like Takako.
Who?
My friend. She said she used to live there, only just a little higher than southeast. But she hasn't come home in a long time, so she doesn't remember much about it anymore. Melody says it's weird I talked to her, but I think she's just shy.
That's rude.
We can be good friends too. Don't you think so, Miss?
Yes, I do think so.
Maybe if you introduce them properly, they will be.
That's what I think. Takako's just lonely. If she makes more friends, she won't be anymore. Is your friend like that too?
A little, possibly. To be honest, sometimes I can't tell with her.
After all, Isabella has always been the kind to hold a smile, even when things have taken the turn for the worse. 5 years, and one will think it's enough time to know a person, but when you consider it, come to think of it, all these years I've never ever once seen her cry. Not over trivial matter, or even when things are tough.
Okay, you can go to her. I'll just show you my drawing next time.
Thanks, kid.
Thank you. Remind me to buy you a huge glass of parfait, all right?
No, I'll get a stomachache. Takako says so. A small one is okay.
I'll remember that. Say hi to your friend for me.
I will. I'm sure she'd love to meet you too. See you, Miss Pink.
I'll see you later, Kylie.
She doesn't look back or wait for any sort of goodbye from me. With a song and extra spring in her step, she bounced across the corridor with as much as spirit only a child her age can have. As if the conversation has never taken any downhill turn for her at all. As if there isn't a single thing to worry about in the world. Not long after, she disappears behind the door, leaving behind the strain of an old familiar rhyme lingering in the air. Carefree. Unbidden. Untroubled moments like this, I envy her. And as I resume my hurried pace, a tiny whisper in the back of my mind wishes the same can be said of myself and my own worries. Luxburn may be a small city, but is no stranger to a hellish rush hour traffic. But surprisingly, getting out of the city today proves more than a breeze than a hassle. A relief, considering how none of my calls to Isabella has made it through. Either the reception is really bad over there, or she's ignoring them on purpose. Both does nothing to ease my disquiet in me. The rest of my drive passes without much of an incident as soon as I'm out of the busy streets. In less than 30 minutes, the mansion looms ahead of me. For all the fuss Isabella made about the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Unlike Luxbourne, the estate and the nearby Ainsland village stands as a complete opposite, living and breathing the song of an old, whispered, once booming haven lingering in the air. Contemporary conveniences aside, it's a place I'm gladly modern station has a holy touch.
It's just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself. If I could only knock some sense into these people.
Sadly, complaining is all I can afford to do. As much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I'm here. I don't think these rich types will appreciate getting a lecture from me either. I have as much of business with them as they have with me. With a heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading up to the main entrance. Most of the guests are already heading out, though still some linger. It's mainly just to take photos of the house facade or its various rooms. I pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathered in the foyer, looking for any sign of a familiar ponytail among the sea of hats and heads.
No sign of her.
No sign of the other staff or Miss Cooper either. I can certainly look for Isabella in my own, but in a place this big? I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we need to meet with Zachary and Ash tonight. Sighing, I reach for my mobile and redial her number, the gesture familiar now after so many attempts earlier. If she doesn't answer, I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I just hope the network reception will cooperate this time. This side of the country has never been popular with the techie savvy after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. At the 4th one, right as it's about to switch into another interception message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for her to pick up, the ring going far long for my taste. But now, most of the visitors have already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs and the eerie communists left in their wake. Great, we're alone. A sudden hush settles and gives way noises louder than there are ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion, floorboards groaning underneath the sheer weight of the house's history. And now an empty hall, they are reverberated with special clarity against the walls. Like this, those old stories seem to almost give a ring to the truth of it. I don't get to stray far into the ugly line of thought, however. Not a second later, a click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella! Miss Cooper called earlier and...
No! No! Help me!
Isabella? Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the call gets cut off. Busy note blares sharply against the heavy silence, but above the noise cutting through the mute air remains the faint cries of a woman. From beyond the foyer. My hands fall to my side as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one here hearing this. There must be some staff hanging around, checking things out? But no one does. Not even when I hear her sobs turn more frantic and anguished.
Excuse me? Hello?
No! Oh, God!
Who's there? Isabella? Isabella? Is that you?
No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over where her cries come from, each step slow and cautious towards the door on the other end of the room. While I'm far from someone who readily gives into fear or stories lacking factual basis, the vague, restless feeling I had earlier immediately returns to me. And despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens.
Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Oh, I don't like this. Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tenses, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for another sound yet to come from the other side. But nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only leads itself to a heavy tension in the air, as if some small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the room. I wait for another second. Then with caution, I reach for the knob. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when a hand falls on my shoulder.
Excuse me, ma'am?
God, it's just Rose.
I am so
Jesus!
sorry. I didn't mean to
Okay.
startle you.
I thought we were gonna see the girl like this early already.
No, it's
Still reeling, my gaze shifts back at the door, as if any second now the cries will start again, or whoever's inside will burst out of the room. But I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through my haze in my mind, oddly soothing in the thick of my uneasiness. Even if the concentrated look comes from a total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her like the gesture long explaining everything. Vaguely, I note my tight grip on it and quickly slips into my pocket before she notices. She doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes, and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere or venture deeper into the mansion on my own. In some way, I'm not too keen on the latter right now.
Oh, Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. Girl never listens.
Rose? Rosie, may I have a minute?
Oh, it's Hannah.
There's just this one little thing before we go.
Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile, still friendly, even but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing, to say the least. That level of professionalism. I suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly doesn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella, though.
Sorry, could you give me a second?
Yeah,
I
sure.
have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes.
By myself in this creepy mansion, it's fine.
Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
Alright, this won't be long, I promise.
She throws me an apologetic look before sauntering over to the small group gathered at the entrance. A couple, or siblings, and another woman, probably their secretary? Either way, they look no different from the other guests. All three of them primly dressed, abed in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills, no extravagance of any form. but their gestures and movements alone speak volumes of their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous in my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them, all the while also attempting my best not to listen in their conversation, although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the walls with only 5 of us here. Pretty soon I find myself being drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
The mundane talk isn't what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment, a fleeting shift of my eye.
One day for us, Marianne.
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this,
And in an instant, I turn my gaze on him. I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup.
Wait! That's what I saw earlier with Zach. There's like this dark cloud surrounding Luke. I thought it was just like an error or something, or just because he was mad and he was just fuming. What the fuck? Wait! No! There's something wrong with Luke, right? I'm right. There's something wrong with this guy.
Aren't you, Marianne? You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we? In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Looming, hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to a flame, a dark blur. No, a shadow.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
Darling, you'll never.
What's going on with her hearing?
You already had a glass today, and apparently a few days ago as well.
Oh my god.
How many times do we have to remind
Everything
you?
is muffled. I don't like
Orders,
this.
Remember?
Such a shame. You never let me do anything fun.
But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends me over my whole body. Oh god. What is it? It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps over every part of me, crawling under my skin and draining me little by little of any strength. Before I know it, my hand is gripping my nearby door for support. The sudden nausea drowns out their voices and what sounds there is. All except for this whisper and laughters. Judging, mocking, taunting, muffled, inaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binds tightening with every syllabus, every utterance. And with each draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully, into a bottomless abyss. On and on and on, till the sound turns into a mere distant echo, until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we
Whoa,
waiting
Jesus.
for? Are we done here?
His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade, and my eyes snap open. When I look at them again, it's gone.
Just a second, darling.
Why? That's really creepy. I'm sorry, that's really creepy. Why is it Luke, though? Because if I remember in Hannah's chapter, remember when she was, checking out the wine cellar, and then, the spirit kind of, took over her, and she was speaking as the ghost girl, and then when she saw Luke, she's like, my prince. There's something going on, I don't like this.
Send my regards to Isabel, please. Poor girl. Please let her know she doesn't have to worry and tell her to get some rest. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadow or dark clouds, only unmissable smiles and cordial handshakes, the usual pleasantries as Miss Cooper leads them out of the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it, and even if I force my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes trained on their backs, and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently, she closes the great doors behind her, but there is a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. Was I just seeing things?
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we're going to... hey, are you sure you're doing okay?
No.
You look a bit green.
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. The weather, the stupid cold, and the friendly warnings I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabella's right. I was, and still am, a little feverish when she visited me at the school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function, it did get me better after lunch, and I was able to go through my schedule like usual. Now I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's anything but. I simply must listen to too many of Isabella last week. I simply must have listened to too many times to Isabella last week. My fever muddled my mind and started to confuse things. I just need another visit to my doctor, plain and simple. Though I do hope it won't get worse. We did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. Lead the way.
With a small nod, she gestures for me to follow. I do so much without a thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes, and my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor itself. Isabella is no longer there, left shortly before I arrived. Or at least, that's what the few staffs who saw her assumed. None of them knew where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places in Luxburn she frequents, and she's never been a complex type. A complex kind. It doesn't really take a genius to figure it out. Still, it's odd that she left on her own. She could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay the cab fare twice today.
And right after she was told to stay put. I mean, who does that?
Maybe that's why she was pissed at Isabella earlier. Maybe it's not because of Ash. I don't know. Maybe I was reading too much into that.
Oh, sod off! You don't own the road!
In the end, all Miss Cooper has given me were a string of apologies for my trouble and a request to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair didn't even last long. I probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving my way back to downtown Luxburn, worried sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. Whether at the unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself, I'd rather not think about it for now. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that's where I'll find her. As one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie house when I got to it. The small adventure where it's located has been closed off earlier for any passing traffic to make way for the avid moviegoers who's sure to crowd the venture. I have to park almost at the street away and walk a remaining distance because of it. Looking at them has taken a while in the crowd with this big, but I eventually spot them near the entrance. Thanks to Zachary, mostly. And like I surmised, Isabella's with them.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I march over to the little group. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I can even stop myself.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness.
Becca, you're just in time.
An odd expression crosses my face as I hold it with both hands, but I ignore it in favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still, fix her gaze at me.
Becca, you're squishing my face.
How are you? Are you alright?
Why wouldn't I be?
Because you fell down the stairs, dude! There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from her confused frown at my questions, she looks pretty much like how she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell those things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next door. If I hadn't checked on her then, she probably would have died on the bed and with the rest of us none the wiser. It's one thing we laugh about it now, but moments like those also teach you something about a person. If anything, it has given me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and gently as she can, Isabella pushes my hands away. Yet even before she says anything, I already have a hunch how this whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today.
That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
There and then and there, the whole conversation goes down as I imagined. She dodges my hand when I reach for the back of her head, intending to check said injury myself, even makes a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag, shouting and chasing like none of us have been bothered to act like a full-grown adults we're supposed to be. Including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash, out of everyone? In fact, that stupid smirk on his face tells me anything. He finds this whole mess amusing. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this. Just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand's still mid-air as my attention shifts to Ashton and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware what he said, but meaning in each syllable alone is clear. And they echo. They sting. They burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her.
Okay, yeah, she's jealous. Never mind. I was right.
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course! Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put, after that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence falls while I mull over their words, both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. When I do find my voice, it only reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts I quickly stamp out before they surface. Thoughts I hide best I can in the deepest parts of my mind, locking it away for no one to see.
Oh, that's good.
Awkward.
At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
Like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere, whatever he's thinking no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should. Every small little thing, despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking he often tells me, or maybe there really is something there. But in a short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake is it this time, though? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That, I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me. If she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
What I don't get about Rebecca, like, okay, I get it, you have a crush on Ashton, but, like, her tone, the way it changes immediately, and then how she keeps saying, we have to act like adults. She's not acting like an adult. She's acting like a teenager, you know? Like, her and her best friend have a crush on the same dude. Well, I mean, Isabella doesn't really have a crush on Ashton, but you know what I mean. When teenagers do that, they end up, like, bickering, whatever, and then she's complaining about how they're acting like kids, and they need to act like an adult. That's the thing I don't like about Rebecca. She's kind of immature.
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what. If I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens and then snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond, not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty, so many things I can use to reason and get him to agree. But because he speaks with so much certainty, with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and reluctance nod in the face of it. Before I can get a grip on myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and I am being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca. It's always been you with him, isn't it? Did you say something?
Yikes.
Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else can it be? Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Little do I know, this is merely a preamble. It starts out quietly and without fanfare, amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing, with a scrape of paper fluttering harmlessly on the ground. One that looks suspicious and like a cheap Halloween prank, no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous this all is, Isabella's stubborn insistence, as if her whole life depends on acknowledgement and the truth of the story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds now? Crevens, even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me time to regret, nor think over my choice of words. From there, it escalates, grows into an argument, too petty even for our standards as an adult. Again, she's saying being adults. Oh, God. Where we know what one after the other, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me.
Also, how can you be a skeptic when Rebecca experienced that weird thing that happened in the mansion, right? The voice on the phone, the crying, and then the looming shadow over Luke. Come on now.
If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up. There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all this, and however how much my own has already been frailed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a child, like a kid? Rebecca, I don't... Oh, God. Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off, slams the door right in front of her face as well. My own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly on the hard expression on her, when she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton, I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, soured expression and balled fists, throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable, for a grown woman at that. Words from a tip of my tongue ready. But before I can open my mouth and let it out, her feeling and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises his voice of his own.
Guys!
And warning, underneath the warm and hopeful beat of his voice. We all stop to look at him, and even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down?
This is why I love Zachary the
Isabella
most.
Has her reasons too.
Such a
Need to
sweetheart.
be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To announce sorry may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabbles. This time is no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it fall, the only ring is sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
And as careful as he is with his own tone, it does make him feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give him a little support we can give, yet here he is trying to keep the stubborn people outright from hashing it out in public. Later we can, and we will talk about it, of course. There's a proper time and place for it, and at any moment my anger and whatever reprimands it carries no longer matters. Besides me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines on his shoulders ease as to something more relaxed, his expression back to its usual nonchalance. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasped to the straps of her bag like lifeline, eyes trained on something point near her shoes. Only an undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks, always an open book, always the one to wear her heart on her sleeve in a moment. And when she looks up, her answer is also so simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled into a smile, though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times. It's the very same one she's shown when she has no other choice, or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expected her to run, to balk at the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the three of us, less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it how like she would with a matter of concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been this childless, naive girl, and watching the opposite play out right now, somehow I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
All right, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I envy her.
What was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world, how everything seems so simply fall back into pleasant, lively rhythm and around her, how easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds only long years could forge, like a lost piece of the puzzle despite her jagged edges. How she draws people to with her ease. How Ashton, of all peoples, can be drawn to her. She's just jealous of Isabella. Pretty much. Because she's all these things that she wants to be, like, not to have to worry about things. And the fact that the person she's in love with is in love with her. So, you know.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too. If you repeat that, I swear I'll...
Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, lingering stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them. From the playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles, all before the stabbing ache in my heart changed into something painful to bear. It's all in my head, is what I often tell myself, yet the way my heart rends at the sight of them hurts. And like a coward, I walk away from all of it, taking me a small hope that the movie will distract me away from these thoughts. Because, like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Jesus Christ! Dusk has already given way to the night when we leave the first film fest. Unfortunately, it doesn't Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I'm hoping. Neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy, too loud. Too many people taking in little space on the side offer. It forces anyone to bump shoulders with those who barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone, and yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to lighten up.
See you guys some other time.
Yeah. See ya.
Not even as they return the smiles that Ashton and Zachary gives us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call earlier than that. Maybe even the moment I left my bed this morning. Bloody hell, it could have been because of the sodding letter for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep, and wait for the dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head won't turn into a full-blown headache too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming.
I'm getting a sense, maybe I'm just like judging too harshly, but I'm getting a sense Rebecca's not really friends with Isabella. Like, she's kind of putting on a front just because she's taken care of her for a really long time. Now that like she's become jealous of her, she's not exactly friends with her. She just deals with it, you know? It's like Isabella is like one person in your group of friends that you actually hate, but you have to pretend to like. That's what I feel like she's doing.
But I knew he had it in him.
I don't know.
It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air. To replace the strained atmosphere we've somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing, I'm not too keen on dealing with at the present. Behind me, Isabella also changes her pace to match mine, her soft strides going brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she suddenly trips. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times where she can be a least coordinated person on the planet.
Becca, hey! Oh no. Wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry. They're not really completely unfounded. Once you've already grown familiar with her habits, though right now, this is also at the very end of the list of things I want to think about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice, as she calls after me, sounds nothing more than a background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella. If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier. Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
A long pause follows as it holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but all the same, my hand stops short of unlocking the car, and my grip on the handle tightens. I can feel her eyes boring in on me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answer I'd give. She's the same as Zachary. They're bad liars. But when you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice than to admit the truth. Those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time, her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk, yet somehow, in how she says it, irks
If
me.
it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Whatever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it. Not at this minute, proverbially never. Especially when there are already millions of other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Sometimes my patience can only be tired for so long. I don't want to, again, what I try to do in these kind of games is, like, I try not to lie to the character, but also at the same time, like, I don't want Becca and Isabella's relationship to be bad, but I just feel like in this moment, we gotta be honest, because if we just be like, oh yeah, it's just the cold, I'm pretty sure she's gonna know we're lying, right? I don't know, I guess I'll just say I'm not in the mood to talk.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening. I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic.
Will you give the sorting letter a rest already?
Yeah. The effect is immediate. Abruptly, Isabella clamps her mouth shut. Hurt flickers across her face as she looks away, and her shoulders droop, all before the thought of holding back my tone or how she'll take every word crosses my mind. When the realization does hit after, a twinge of guilt washes over me at once. But with all that has already been said and done, what am I supposed to do and tell her then? That I'm someone who can easily be unsettled by my own assumptions? That this stupid sulk has been brought upon by some equally stupid jealousy? That the simple glimpse of her and my childhood friend together infuriates a part of me? Or that I wish I had been in her place during those times instead? True or not, I do owe her either of none of those, or anything. She's the last person I want to know about.
Look here, I'm not in the mood for this kind of talk tonight. My head is aching and I'm tired. I don't want to hear about the dumb letter, or the mansion, or whatever it was you saw in the bloody attic.
That's not what I meant. I just wanted her to say, like, I don't want to talk right now. Why does she have to be a bitch about it?
Just get in the car and we're going home.
Sorry. I won't mention it again.
If you're so worried about it, why don't you just throw the blasted thing away?
You make it sound so easy.
Because it is. Here, hand it over, and I'll do it for you. Might as well shred it up while we're at it.
I hold out my hand to her, though the gesture is without expectations. She is nothing if stubborn, and it doesn't surprise me when she turns the offer down with a swat of her hand.
Rebecca, just leave it alone, okay? I get it. You don't want anything to do with it.
Good. I hope that settles it.
Yeah, just forget I mentioned anything. I'll figure it out myself.
That makes me stop again. This time I turn to look at her, searching her face for an explanation. But all she offers me is a sidelong glance and another one of those pained looks, before climbing into the passenger seat and closing the door behind her. Somehow, even with a steady din in traffic around us, the sound of that feels heavy, weighted with everything we refuse to utter tonight. This is what I want, isn't it? It certainly does feel like it. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't. Because no sooner than we hit the road, Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing the laughter once she found the first sound of her breathing fills the car.
Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quieter rhythm, so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression anyone has of her. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come to her, but otherwise it's just us. The silence is so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is the only thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet, it's nowhere near comforting. It merely leaves the air in this strange clarity, every time little sound, every single moment more palpable. And with it comes this unease. A jolted surprise hits me. It's almost comical if there were a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodged my mole from its seat on the dashboard while I was swiping on the screen. Soon I'm scrambling blindly for it with one hand, while keeping one steady eye on the road ahead. A voice crackles from the sound of the speaker, and I can put it back on. A muffled, heavy, by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line from her chipper tone alone.
Hello? Miss Cooper?
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile.
Is it me, or is it, like, glitching, or, like, breaking up?
Were you able to meet up with her?
Yeah, it's breaking up.
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
Oh god. Was that helping? My hand stopped dead for a moment. I spared the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines in my mouth form into a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up.
Yeah, it's just a signal!
Come again?
What?
Is everything alright over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some,
I had to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there, although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper! Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and... Maybe this loss is entirely because of exhaustion. It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from the last week bout of a flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Though perhaps I had paid closer attention to it, had I not been occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed earlier that it never came from my phone. She's in the car. Oh no! But from somewhere right behind me! Oh, okay. I really thought she was with Rose, because remember, Rose does die. But she's in the car! Oh, good. Help me, please. Time slows to a crawl. Looking up at him is a mistake. The first thing I see is her face, a ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness and the world passing by in a blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozed from it, the trails of crimson running down its face, glistening under what little light there is. But it is the gleam in its eyes that catches mine. The quiet plea, the anguish, and the desperation in them, more than its hideous features, and its awful stench of gore now soaking in the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away, even as his lips contort into a horrific smile. Ew! Ah! Even as sharp, harsh noise pierces the air and the silence around us.
Rebecca! Huh? Car! Eyes on the road!
Against everything I've been taught, and I've been constantly reminding myself, I close my eyes. It's a brief moment, a short vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, my hands didn't move, and my feet didn't hit the brakes that exact second, I might have... Isabella and I might have... No, I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. Right now, it's an ugly line of thought that I refuse to venture into. Not when breathing is struggled and every ounce of strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe. That's all that matters. But it's not her face that I look for when I finally open my eyes. She's gone. All gone. I expect stains. Little telling markings of creases over the covers to show me that where it sat not long ago. But whatever it is, it left not a single trace. Although courage is hard thing to gather at this point, I take what little remains of me and turn towards the back seat. Even then, there's nothing. Or was there really something there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. The stupid flu again.
I need a long rest after this.
My hands fall uselessly to my side, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel has gone, and yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart pounds in an erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without warning me, and little by little, a second after second, as I sit here motionless, color begins to seep back around me, along with its sound of a voice, no longer an indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Becca, are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me. You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional, Jesus. But with a heating prickling in the back of my eyes and the mild throbbing at my temple, I can honestly do with a little silence right now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca!
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road. Or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least.
That's very ominous. I don't like that.
I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabella looks away while that's what's left on a little lecture never crosses my tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each word of those words she lets loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay has always been meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home. It's what she tells herself during the first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not sure she believes it. I'm not sure she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe it. And even there's something in her reason that has changed along the way. Even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing that I'll never bother to ask. Those are hers to keep.
I'll be careful this time, I promise. Just please. Can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
She nods, and that's the end of it. We spend the rest of the trip back to Salem's Well in silence. All thoughts of the overreact and a flu-addled mind and of smiles never meant for my eyes abandoned, if only for a brief moment. Okay, guys, I'm gonna end that episode right here. I'm not sure how I feel about this, because, like, I know Becca's, like, in a really bad mood, and I hope she's not actually, like, hating on Isabella, but I just get the feeling that she's so resentful for the fact that Ashton has a crush on Isabella, and, like, that Isabella's so carefree and whatever, and she wishes she was her. She's starting to hate her, and I don't want them to hate each other. But looking at the relationship, yeah, I went down with Isabella. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, let me know in the comments what you think, and be sure to subscribe and hit the bell button so you know when I upload the next episode of The Letter. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye! Oh, God! I legit walked into that guy and he's shoes outside. It's fucking freezing because it's like the end of October and I live in Canada and it's not a fun time, so I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible.